Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clear?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ECUATESOLers. All right, today we have the privilege to have another webinar organized by ECUATESOL. And well, remember that ECUATESOL is an affiliate, official affiliate of TESOL International. And then we have the support in partnership with Universidad Yachaitec, Universidad Nacional de Educación, and ITEP from Ecuador. So these are the sponsors for our webinars, of round of webinars that we have every month. So now we have some questions about participants, and I would like to clarify that before we start. Like we have received some information in our email through our website and through the chat that we have in WhatsApp asking about the certificates. Remember that the certificates we will emit at the first term of the webinar series. No, this is a webinar series. So that means that every month we have 2 or 3 webinars. At the end of the webinar series number 1 that we finishes in June, you will receive a certificate, and you will receive a certificate approving the majority of the webinars. So if you have attended at least 80% of the webinars, you will receive a certificate emitted by Yachaitec University and the Universidad Nacional de Educación. Okay, so be updated in that and don't forget to attend to our webinars. In that way, please don't forget as well to visit our website. Here we have the QR code. You can QR code and you can visit and follow our website. The same thing about our Instagram account. In our Instagram account, we are posting the next events that we have. Actually, this month we have another event on April 19th with another specialist, so be aware of that and be ready to attend as well. And then this is the registration format for ECUATESOL. Now, if you want to become a member of ECUATESOL, or if you are a member now, but if you're not, please become a member of ECUATESOL. We don't are charging any fee. Everything is for free. All the events and everything that we organize is with the support of the partner associations that we have, as TESOL International, Yachaitec University, Universidad Nacional de Educación, and ITEP. And some events we have with the sponsor of the US Embassy as well. All right. So this is our WhatsApp account as well. If you are not part of our WhatsApp network, please QR code here. Follow us in WhatsApp. We are posting information, and if you want to contact us, well, this is our ECUATESOL Gmail address. So you can send any information. If you have any questions or information, please contact us anytime. All right. So with that, I would like to introduce, and I have a privilege to present today, Andrea Chalco, my ex-student, and I'm very honored and proud that she's here today to share a very interesting topic that is about the use of peripheral learning technique to improve vocabulary in our English classes. So she's an expert of this, and I would like to welcome Andrea today. And as well, we have today Kathy Zambrano. She's another volunteer of ECUATESOL, and she's going to give the introduction to Andrea. Please remember, at the end of the webinar, I will be posting in the chat box about the link of the registration of your attendance. So be aware of that and register your attendance. I'm really happy that today we have people from Guaranda, from Guayaquil, from Quito, from Ibarra, from all the different provinces of Ecuador. Thank you very much for trusting in our webinars, in our professional development, and welcome everyone. Okay, thanks again, Andrea, and Kathy is all yours.
Good afternoon, dear teachers. It is my honor and pleasure to welcome all of you for the ECUATESOL webinar. I'm introduced and please our special guest, Andrea Chalco, who will be sharing the presentation about the use of peripheral learning technique to improve vocabulary. Andrea Chalco has a bachelor's degree in English language teaching. She is currently working at a private school in Cuenca, Ecuador. As a teacher, she's passionate about looking for new techniques and strategies to help her students in the learning process. Therefore, each class is a new opportunity to motivate, inspire, and support her students by creating a dynamic and rich environment where they can effectively develop their linguistic abilities. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Kari. Thank you so much, Teacher Daniel. As they told you, I am a student, where I was a student. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. As Katy says, my name is Andrea Chalco. I'm from Ecuador, and I've been working with young learners from 9 to 10 years old in a private school in Cuenca. And well, I am excited to share with you this afternoon with a topic that I hope you like, because I'm really passionate about how peripheral learning work, because it's an excellent technique. And before we begin, well, it's great to see many people and teachers who are really involved in their classes in order to help their students to acquire new knowledge in a different way. I see that there are teachers from many places. As Teacher Daniel says, we have people from Guayaquil, Santa Elena, Guaranda, and it's amazing to see many places because we can share different contexts while we interact during the webinar. Okay, first, I would like to share with you the agendas for today's webinar. We will start with a little warm-up activity. Then I will introduce you to the peripheral learning technique and some important concepts that I think you need to understand in order to fully catch the concept of this technique. Later, I will share with you why it is an effective technique for vocabulary acquisition and how to implement it in the classroom setting, giving you some tips, strategies that you can follow. And at the end, we will discuss a little bit about it. And maybe you would have some questions or any ideas to share with the rest of us. And also, we will have a game. I hope you like it a lot. Now, let's start with this activity. For this one, I need you to have a pencil or a pen and a notebook with you or a sheet of paper. So I'm gonna wait for you to get the material in your table or wherever you are. So please, if you don't have it, look for it. I will wait for you 1 minute so you can have all the materials. Just a pencil, a pen, or a sheet of paper. Okay, so maybe most of you already know about this warm-up activity, that it is the KWL activity, in which in the first part, what I want you to do now is to write what you already know about the peripheral learning technique. Maybe some ideas that you have in mind, maybe you have heard a little bit about it, or if you don't know anything about it, write it there, please. In the second part is the one that you're gonna complete during the webinar, because you're gonna write there your questions, some doubts that you have about what you want to know about the peripheral learning technique. And in the last part, this is gonna be completed at the end of the webinar, obviously, since you have to write what do you learn of the whole webinar, okay? So while you're doing this, I would like you to write some of your ideas of what do you already know about the peripheral learning technique in the chat. So please write everything that you have in mind in the chat. Maybe you have write something, so I will wait for some of you to write your ideas in the chat. Okay, I will wait while you're writing. Okay, Mercedes, tell us that she haven't heard about it before. Well, it's great that we have this kind of webinar so I can share with you what it is about. Maybe someone has any kind of idea about peripheral learning technique, or what do you think it comes to your mind? Okay, I see that most of you says that you don't know about the technique. Well, I'm gonna explain to you later. Maybe the use of multimodal, Maria Jose says, maybe the use of multimodal resources to enhance the understanding of new vocabulary. Okay, good idea. This is new for me. Carlos says no clue. Elizabeth told us, I like to learn about this topic. It's amazing because that's why we are here. Nothing. Sorry, I don't know about this technique. It's never okay. It's nice that you don't know or don't have any kind of idea or clue in your mind because your mind is fresh to learn about this topic. Okay, so before I can explain to you about the peripheral learning technique in deep, let me ask you a quick question before. Have you ever learned something just by looking at it? Have you ever learned something just by looking at it? Please think about it and write your ideas on the chat too. Maybe you have learned a song or something. Anything that you have learned just by using your vision and learning it. Okay, I see that some of you says yes. And what did you learn? Like you learn a song, you learn a word. What did you learn? Just picture, give information. Okay, that's a good idea. Videos, posters, you learn through that. Perfect. I learned sport. Excellent. Yes. Thank you, Tanya. You learned a sport. Flashcard by using flashcards, okay? By looking photos or pictures. Perfect. I see some ideas in the chat, okay? You wrote different things that you have actually learned. Maybe the size of the object, okay? Yes, vocabulary, signals, etc. Common vocabulary, perfect. And can you tell me why do you think you learned that? Why do you think that you learned that words, that sport? You said about readings, perfect. Why do you think you learned that things? Tell me also your answers in the chat. I'm willing to read everything you have in mind. Background knowledge, perfect, Maria Jose, thank you. Okay, showing pictures or real things. Okay, I see that some of you repeat the same about pictures, how they help you to learn things. And why do you think that happened? Because they look so interesting, perfect, because they are used frequently. Excellent, thank you, Maria Leonor, and thank you, Gina. Warm-up activity, okay, perfect. Due to learning styles, perfect. Because as you know, we have different learning styles because our brains decodes the information. Thank you, Tanya. Clotilde says, or during the class, perfect. Okay, I think that you have an idea of where's the peripheral learning goes. So now I would like to say that all of your ideas were related of what we're gonna see today in the topic. As the first part, let me explain to you a little bit about the peripheral learning technique. Well, this peripheral learning technique is a subconscious way of acquiring knowledge by being exposed to information in our surroundings. Unlike other teaching methods, it doesn't require like a direct instruction. So instead, students just absorb vocabulary by simply looking at the words on the walls and their surroundings in the whole classroom and images in a repeatedly in their environment. They are looking all the time at the words, so that's how they learn. They absorb information in a way that they are not conscious about. And today I will use some concepts of learning and acquisition, but I'm gonna use them like interchangeable. Even though I know and you already know that acquisition is an unconscious process and learning is a process in which the learner is aware of the knowledge that he or she wants to already get in their brain. Another thing that you should know about the peripheral learning technique is that this comes from the Suggestopedia method, which is actually focused on creating a relaxed and stress-free environment where students can leave to one side the anxiety. Okay, so primarily is employed for acquiring proficiency in a language and in foreign language actually. And according to this method, by fostering a state of relaxation in both your body and your mind, the individuals, the learners are capable of optimize their learning to raise their knowledge. Okay. Now, let me introduce this concept to you in a form of an example. Think about how children learn their first language. They see words on cereal boxes or store signs or TV screens, and even without being explicitly taught, they begin to recognize and understand the words naturally. Even if we don't tell the little kid like, hey, this word means this, these words are gonna use with this grammar structure. And students just learn by looking at them, by being repeatedly looking the words. And we can replicate this same structure that we have when we learn a first language in the process in our classroom by surrounding our students with useful vocabulary and with a lot of visual material. That's what is the peripheral learning used for. A lot of visuals in the peripheral learning technique. So now I want you to know why use the peripheral learning technique. And to get the importance of this technique, I would like you to watch 2 videos. And later, I will ask you some questions about them. So look at each video in detail. And the videos are short, so no worries about the longest of the video, okay? This is our first video, okay? I don't know if you can watch the video actually. No. Let me put it again.
No.
Okay, give me just 2 minutes to fix it. Okay, let me share with you the videos. Oh my God, just give me one moment. I don't know what is happening here. Okay, let me share with you the first video. Okay, so this is the first one. Tell me if you can watch the video. Yes? Okay, so this is the first video. I would put the video twice, so look it in detail.
And this is what my classroom is like first thing in the morning. Thank you very much. That is all. Good day.
Okay, let me put the video again so you can actually see in detail, specifically the physical part, the structure of the classroom.
And this is what my classroom is like first thing in the morning. Thank you very much. That is all. Good day.
Okay, this is our first video. Now let me share with you the second video that I want to analyze with you. So let's see. Okay, tell me please if you can watch the video. Yes? Yes, excellent. So here we are with the second video. Okay, and I'm going to put the video again, so please look carefully. Okay, as you see, both classrooms are completely different. So please, I want now that you watch both of the videos, let me ask you some questions. And my first question, give me one moment so I can share with you my screen again. Okay, my first question is, what differences could you observe in both classrooms? You have watched both of the videos, so what are the differences that you observe in both of them? And you can write your answers in the chat, or you can raise your hand here in the Zoom platform so I can give you the word so you can speak. The materials. Thank you, Kathy. Different arrangement order the chairs. Perfect. Maria Leonor says, unlike the first, on the second, there are students attending the class. Perfect. Nora tells us, first classroom doesn't have any information on the wall, and the second have many didactic material. Thank you, Nora. Paulina says the useful materials. Then we have the first classroom doesn't have decorated walls. Perfect. William, the difference is the didactic materials. Thank you so much. Carlos says all sit in a circle. Juana, tell us about the didactic material too. I see that some of you, or most of you, write about the didactic materials. Thank you. The first, I think the class finished, but in the second ones, stay in the class and have many materials to learn. Thank you, Clotilde. Traditional and technology class. In the video number 1, no students. Picture 2, video 2, some students doing activities. Thank you, Carola. Perfect. Okay, and my second question for you is, which classroom do you think is better for learning? The first one or the second one? Let's see your ideas in the chat. Or as I told you, if you want to raise your hand. Number 2, okay, Clotilde says both, okay. I see a lot of number 2, the second, okay. Okay, and Marta says number 1, okay. Carolina says number 2. Maybe you can tell me why you think is number 2, or why do you think is number 1? Because I see that some people write number 1, and I'm really interested about to know why do you think is number 1 or number 2. So please write out your ideas in the chat. I will wait for your ideas. William says, it is so important, color and pictures for teaching and learning. Thank you so much. It depends of the topic and the age of the students. Thank you, Gina. Nora says, when we saw pictures or keywords, we can remember. Thank you so much. And Janet says, number 2, because it has a bunch of material on the walls and on the tables. Perfect. Cecilia says, number 2, it represents that teacher works with their students. Okay, great idea. Thank you so much. Well, I see a lot of your ideas in the chat. You are writing all what you think, what you have in mind. So let me tell you that, as you mentioned before, a classroom rich in visual stimuli actually provides constant exposure to key concepts, reinforcing learning even when students are not actively studying. And that's what is peripheral learning about. Even when our students are not paying like close attention to what it is on the walls, like the visual materials on the walls, they are learning because they use their peripheral vision. Even if they are not paying so much attention to them, they are learning because, as I told you, they are using that peripheral vision. And as you know, our brains, if we think our brains are just paying attention in just one thing, but we don't know that our brains actually pay attention to so many things, but our brain is so intelligent that it gives fully attention to just one thing. But that doesn't mean that we are not aware of what is happening around. So peripheral learning creates an engaging and dynamic space where knowledge is absorbed naturally. And in contrast, in an empty classroom, as we can see in the video number 1, lacks of stimulation, and it makes harder for the students to stay engaged and retain information during our classes. And with this comparison, I just want to highlight the power of the peripheral learning technique, the idea that our surroundings influence what we remember. It is so important in the peripheral learning technique because by creating this kind of visual material, we kind of build a visually rich environment, and we turn the passive exposure into an active learning for our students, making the education process more effective and enjoyable for our pupils. Okay, thank you so much, as I told you, for your ideas. Now I would like to talk with you why we use the peripheral learning technique. Okay. So first of all, peripheral learning technique is an easy way to use because it doesn't require many materials, making it is a cost-effective way and accessible technique for any kind of teacher and any kind of classroom. I remember that during my research, I used cardboard, markers, and just some pictures to show my students that we can have like visual material on the walls. And even I don't say my students like, hey, this is the material, we're gonna use this for learning. No, they just stayed in the classroom, pasted on the walls, and students start to actually using them, and because it was eye-catching for them. And also, it can be easily adapted to different learning spaces, whether we have larger or small classes, by using some posters, word walls, labels, or even digital displays that I will talk about that in later. We can help our students to remember the words, especially because we are talking about vocabulary. This doesn't mean that we don't have to use this with other kind of English materials such as grammar. It will help, but I was talking especially about the vocabulary. And since our students absorb information passively through constant exposure, it doesn't require actually extra teaching time or changes in our lesson plans. We are not gonna say all the classes like, hey, students, do you have the material here? So look at them. No, they are just there, and the students are gonna, trust me, they are gonna use it in your classes. And because once the materials are in place, they reinforce the learning their students naturally, helping them to retain vocabulary, and they have like key concepts without adding some additional effort from the teacher. And secondly, I can say that this technique fosters a language-rich environment. And since using English words in the classroom kind of immerse students in the language, and that will help them to be associated with the meanings and with real life word contexts that we have around our classes or even outside classes. Also, it supports different learning styles because we have, as we know, visual learners, kinesthetic learners, read-write learners, and it helps especially our visual learners because it benefits them from written words and images, while our kinesthetic learners can actually interact with words or classroom labels. And this makes the vocabulary acquisition accessible for all of them. For example, when I was doing my thesis with this topic, we had a group discussion and we were interviewing our students, and some of them told us that they use this kind of peripheral learning technique, especially the posters, to play some games during the class. So they say like, hey, do you want to play with other classmates? And the other says like, yeah. And they start to say the colors from the pictures, and the students need to guess what were the words. For example, it's red, it's black, and the students say, oh, it's a car. So that helps the students to use that material even if they were not in the English classroom. They like just have extra time to reinforce that vocabulary, because this is also helpful because as we know, here in Ecuador, I'm going to talk about especially here in Cuenca, students don't go to their houses and start to speak in English with their parents or with their friends. They just use the language during the English classrooms, during the English classes. And some of them doesn't have like a lot of hours during the whole week for English classes. So this is actually a good way to create independent learners that want to learn more about the vocabulary or any kind of topic that you would like to present. And the last one, as I told you before, peripheral learning technique enhances this passive learning since the students get the vocabulary naturally without direct instruction, making the learning effortless and continuous for them. Now, let's talk about how to integrate peripheral learning technique into our classrooms. Here, I will give you some practical strategies that you can use to apply the peripheral learning technique. Okay, so first of all, we have the classroom labels and word walls. This is a simply and yet powerful way to apply peripheral learning technique because we can use some items such as door, window, chair, clock, board, whatever you want, and you can have some posters, put them in that words. Okay, so over time, this repeated exposure helps to reinforce vocabulary without a conscious effort in the students. Additionally, the word walls can be created with thematic vocabulary related to current lessons. For example, if your students are learning about food, the word wall can include words like apple, bread, cheese, and milk, and can be categorized into healthy food, unhealthy food, or desserts. It can be just, I don't know, salty food, spicy food. And this method ensures that your students are constantly surrounded by relevant words, making it easy for them to recall and use them in conversations, for example. Then you have also some posters and visual aids. This is another effective strategy because with posters, you can have a high frequency words and phrases put it in the walls. And this can include common verbs, adjectives, or useful sentences structures. As I told you, it's not just for vocabulary. Here we're talking especially about vocabulary, but you can use it for many things, for phrases. For example, a poster title, Ways to Greet Someone. It could feature phrases like, hello, good morning, how are you? And this will help you to provide a daily reference for the students. And it is also beneficial to kind of display key vocabulary related to current lesson. So this will ensure that students are continually exposed to essential words. For example, my students have some posters in their classroom with common phrases such as puedo ir al baño. When I start to work there, my students just come to me and say, ¿puedo irme al baño, teacher? And I say, no, tell me in English. And they are like 10 years old. Maybe they should know about the phrases, but they say I don't know. So what I did is to print some poster. I print some phrases and then I pasted it in cardboard and I put it around the classroom. So I put like, may I go to the bathroom, please? So each time that my student comes and say the phrase in Spanish, I say like, look at the poster, or just even I don't need to talk. I just point the poster and I say like, and they are like, what, teacher? And I say like, oh. And they say, oh, may I go to the bathroom, please? And then say, yes, you can. So go. So this helps your student to actually start to use the phrases in the classes. Even I have some experiences in which the teachers start to tell me, like not English teachers at all, like teachers from science, social studies, that tell me, teacher, some students come to me and say, may I go to the bathroom, please? But they are not in the English classroom. So this is a good way to see how this can impact in your students outside the English classes. Then we have also another way to apply the peripheral learning technique is using thematic decorations. This is another creative way to use this technique because that is aligned with your lessons topics. For example, if the monthly theme is about food, The classroom can have posters, word labels, and illustrations of different foods with their names in English. You can have some apples and the picture of an apple. Similarly, if students are learning about sports or professions, their room can be decorated with relevant images and words related to that poster, related to that topic, sorry. So this will make it easy for them to connect the vocabulary to real world context, because it doesn't have a lot of sense if you put an apple and then you put a word of a guy doing snowboarding. They are kind of get confused, okay? No worries, I will give you some tips later after this, so you can really know how to apply the peripheral learning technique. As I told you, this strategy actually enhances the immersion, helping your students to associate words with a specific tense in a natural way. Also, you have some interactive bulletin boards that as you can see in the pictures. So making peripheral learning interactive can significantly increase the students' engagement. As I told you before, this peripheral learning technique is an unconscious process. For example, when I was doing my research, I don't tell my students like, guys, look at the posters, they are here to learn English. No, I just actually put the posters there with my thesis partner, and then the students start to notice the posters by themselves. And even during the focus group discussion, they told us like, we know that we're you the ones that posted the posters, even if you don't tell us. And I say, why did you say that? And says, because you are so creative, and also the words were in English, and I really like this strategy. They actually love that we use this kind of material for them, because as I told you, there are so many classrooms, especially here in Ecuador, as the one that we watch in the video, that has like walls with nothing on them, anything on them. Okay, so use this kind of time to do this kind of material that actually help your students. As I told you, we have the interactive bulletin boards. These allow your students to contribute with new words they learn. This is a kind of group experience in which they are involved in the learning. They can say, teacher, I learned this new word about sports. So great. Put it in a poster and pasted it on the wall. And that makes them to be more independent too. They feel more involved in the whole process of learning. And for example, a new words, you can have a space with a new words of the week. If the students learn something, they can put it there. So you are encouraging your students to add recently discovered vocabulary for them. So you are creating this space, a dynamic and involving learning space for them. In the next one, we have surprise vocabulary placement. To make learning more, even more fun for them, placing the words in unexpected areas around the classroom can spark this kind of curiosity and reinforce retention for your students. For example, words can be placed on the back of the chairs, under the desk, or ceiling corners, or even on classroom materials like notebooks or pencil cases. You can put the words in the door, you can put the word door, so they start to use this kind of words in their daily basis conversations. And this surprise element for students encourage them to notice actually the words and read the words throughout the day, even if they are not, as I told you, in the English classes. So reinforcing learning in a more engaging and unconventional way. This kind of novelty of finding words in an unusual location can create excitement in them and motivate students to pay closer attention to their surroundings, to what is happening around the class. Also, I see that I don't put here the digital peripheral learning, but in modern classrooms, technology can be an excellent tool for peripheral learning. One approach is to use classroom screensavers with vocabulary words, because when your students see words on a screen, because they are now around screens all the time, so if they see this while waiting for a lesson to begin, they subconsciously absorb the words. Similarly, the teachers can create digital slides with vocabulary words that change like periodically. So these kind of slides can display useful phrases or key terms related to the lesson and can be projected onto the board. during breaks or at the beginning of your class, as I told you. And this method actually really works well in digital and hybrid classrooms, where the screens plays a significant role in the daily instruction of your students. I know that this is something that is not going to be possible for some of us, because not all of the classrooms, I'm talking here in Ecuador, have like even a computer. But if you have the opportunity to do this will really help you a lot. And something interesting is that when I was doing my thesis, I found a study about the peripheral learning technique, because if you ask me, this was so difficult to find studies about this technique. There are not many teachers like applying this, even if we know the importance of it. But in one of the studies, they said that they put like a big screen in the front of the students, and the words like start to pass throughout the class. And obviously this helped a lot to the students, because even if they weren't in the English classes, the words were there. This is kind of tricky, because we know that this can be a distraction if the students are not in the English classes. But it's kind of fun to see how we are adding this kind of technology in our daily teaching. So by implementing these whole strategies that I told you before, the teachers can create a classroom environment where our students learn without even realizing it, even if they are not aware about it. So the peripheral learning technique transforms like the passive exposure into an active educational tool, reinforcing vocabulary, grammar if you want, increasing the retention of words in your students, and making language acquisition more engaging and effective for them. Now, to make the most of the peripheral learning technique, teachers can implement several tips that ensure students are exposed to the key vocabulary and concepts in an engaging and an effective way. And here I want to present some of my best tips to use the peripheral learning technique. So first of all, we have rotate and refresh materials regularly. If the students see the same poster or word walls for months, they might stop paying attention to them. So to keep the interest of your students, try to update classroom visuals periodically. If some words are at the front of the classroom, now put them at the back, okay? For example, change the theme each month, or add new vocabulary to the word wall every week. I know that some of us work with a book, so the book presents a specific vocabulary each unit, so you can use the words of the unit 2 weeks, and the next week you can add more vocabulary words related to that topic. Because even if we think that our students are, no, the students are not gonna catch in the words, I don't want to add more vocabulary, this is what are we in the class to teach them more, not just what we have in the book, but to have the space to use in the most beneficial, use it to our benefit, to add more words, to learn more vocabulary. Don't keep it everything in your books, but put it on the walls. And this keeps the learning environment fresh and encourages students to interact actually with new words constantly. And as I told you, you can change. If you put some words on the left, now change it to the right. And this also is going to help you to ensure that all the students are looking at the different words. In my thesis, for example, I have 4 posters. We use the vocabulary about means of transportation, and we have 4 posters in the right, 4 posters in the left. So then each week we change the position of the words. So now the ones that were in the right, we are going to change it to the left. And then the next week we change the poster who were in the back, they are going to go to the front. So this is going to actually keep fresh your students to don't see all the time the same words. Okay, number 2 is to use high contrast and visually appealing designs. For the peripheral learning to be effective, materials are key. Materials should be eye-catching and easy to read for your students. So please use full fonts, bright colors, and or simpler layouts to ensure that your students can quickly recognize the words and phrases. Try to avoid cluttered designs that may overwhelm them, okay? So instead of that, create posters with clear, larger text and engaging visuals to make learning kind of effortless. I know that it's difficult for some teachers to print, but if you have the opportunity to print everything so clear, do it because your students are gonna watch those kind of pictures all the time and use, as I told you, bright colors. I know that there are some cardboards that are like bright blue or bright green, but this is not gonna catch the attention of your students. Your students are gonna get bored. When I did the focus group in my thesis, the student says like, use bright colors, use purple, use red, use green, but those kind of colors that catch their attention, okay? So in the next part, I will tell you to place the materials in high visibility areas. So to maximize the exposure, put the educational materials in places where students naturally look throughout the day. So some ideal locations that I include in my classrooms is to above the whiteboard because your students are always looking to the board. So that sometimes their eyes are gonna go up and they will see the words. Also, I will tell you to put the words near to a door because your students are all the time entering and leaving the classroom. So if they are walking to the bathroom, they will see the words. If they are coming to the classroom, they are gonna see the words. So this will help you a lot. Also, I will tell you to put some words. As I told you, use this kind of surprise. So you can put the words on classroom furniture. So you can put some labels on desks or chairs or shelves so that students can see and be surprised by the words. So these positioning materials in specific areas is going to help you to students see repeatedly encounter the information without even realizing it that it is there and they are going to learn. That it's going to help you a lot. Another tip that I can give you is to integrate the peripheral learning technique into activities. As I told you before, you are not going to use all the time in all your lessons like, hey, we're going to use the words on the posters. No, it's not the purpose actually of the peripheral learning technique. The purpose here is to learn without even notice that we are learning. So while peripheral learning is primarily passive, reinforcing it through interactive activities can enhance retention in your students. For example, you can have your students play a scramble hunt to find specific words around the classroom or to spell the words for a classmate. Or you can ask your students to use the words from the word wall in a sentence or in a conversation. Actually, I have in my thesis some students who tell us that they were completing some activities in their notebooks or their books, and they just look at the word to know the correct spelling of the word. So that helped them to not have a mistake at that moment. And sometimes we can't provide our students with feedback at the same time that we are giving classes. So this is going to help you a lot to give the feedback and have like kind of the feedback by themselves to see, okay, I'm writing this word, and they look at the poster and say, oh, no, I make a mistake. So I'm going to change the word. So this is going to help you a lot. Also, I will tell you to assign a quick matching game where students connect words with images or definition from the posters. That's why I tell you that images are gonna help you a lot. And these activities turns the passive exposure into an active encouragement, engagement of the students. So this is gonna strengthen your students' understanding of the material. So our next one, it's incorporating digital elements. As I told you, we can have these kind of elements here in the classroom, and the technology can enhance peripheral learning, especially in digital or even classrooms. So some ways to integrate these digital materials can be setting classroom computer screensavers to display the vocabulary, as I told you before. You can use your computer at the beginning of the classroom. Maybe you are putting some materials or you are giving your students a worksheet, and there you have the vocabulary words. When you are doing that, the students can see the vocabulary words on the screen. Also, I will tell you to use rotating digital posters on the interactive whiteboards, or you can create a slideshow of important words that you want to highlight in your students. So as I told you, you can put that before or after your classes. So by incorporating the both physical and digital materials, students receive this consistent exposure across different mediums. So by applying these strategies, these tips that I told you, we as teachers can enhance the effectiveness of peripheral learning in our classes. Maybe this is a lot of information, but if you see deeply, the peripheral learning technique is nothing to be worried about. It's so simple. Now, to make this more interactive, maybe you are kind of asleep. I will tell you to please tell me which of these activities do you think would work best in your classroom. So if you can tell me your ideas in the chat, so maybe you can tell me which activity do you like the most, the poster, the classroom labels, or other kind of activities that you can share with us, because even if I know about this topic, even if I know about the topic, maybe you have more ideas to me to share. So let's see. Yeah, it sounds great to use the word will to play Pictionary. And as I told you, you don't have to use like a lot of material. Maybe you have cardboard or recycled cardboard. I do that a lot. I don't like to waste, so I use recycled cardboard and I do like little posters and I put it through my classroom. Flashcard greetings. We can have the flashcards put on the walls. Perfect. It's amazing to see about Yesenia, who says English songs on the background. It helps a lot the students indirectly. Yes, because they are learning without even they know. And this is part of the Suggestopedia method too, because as I told you before, the Suggestopedia method helps you to have your students in this kind of relaxation mood where they don't feel the pressure to learn new words, the anxiety to learn all the time. They are just there, existing in learning. Okay, Rosa Salazar told us that she likes the surprise vocabulary placement. Tanya told us about short poems. That's great. I haven't heard about it, but it seems nice. Poster with common expressions. Yeah, this, as I told you, this helps you a lot. Thematic decorations, labeling in classrooms, objects. I see a lot of ideas. Okay, I see that Maria Leonor has a question, so you have the word 3. Tell me.
Yes. So if you tell us everything that you tell us is so good for us. So as a public teacher, so I work in a public school, it's so impossible to have the whole material or resources in order to teach students. So this resort that you give us engage me and permit me to create or how to have more ideas in order to help my students in my classes. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Leonor. Thank you for your words. As you told us, here we are to learn new strategies, techniques that we can use in different contexts. As I told you, now I am working in a private school, but when I apply specifically this, I start to apply this peripheral learning technique, I was in doing my practicum in a public school. And as you told us, maybe as teachers, we don't have all the time or all the necessary materials, but with this technique is so simple that can work in any context. Thank you so much, Maria Leonor, and thank you all of you for sharing your ideas. I see in the chat that posters are the best resource to learn English. I agree with you. I see that they helps us a lot. Now, to continue, I would like to present to you some challenges that maybe you can have or have to deal with when using the peripheral learning technique. So, while the peripheral learning technique offers numerous benefits, there are also some challenges to consider when implementing it in the classroom. So, the number one of the challenges that you can have is that maintaining student engagement. Over time, students might become accustomed to the materials and stop noticing them. So reducing their effectiveness with time. So to address this, a possible solution for this is that teachers must regularly, as I told you, update or rotate the visual materials to keep them fresh and interesting for the students. Maybe if you use some kind of material in one classroom, you can change it with the other. So this will help you a lot. Another challenge is having a limited space. In a smaller classroom, it might be difficult to find room from all the posters, or labels or other visuals that you want to use, so without overwhelming the environment with a lot of posters. So try to find the words that are most useful for your students. For example, the basic verbs, eat, drink, run, those words that you know that your students use a lot. So once that they have those words in their minds, you can change it. So additionally, there is the time commitment required to set up and organize the materials. As I told you, the teachers don't have like a lot of time, but we can do a little effort in order to help our students, especially if teachers want to create an immersive learning environment with team decorations or interactive displays. This can take time, but trust me, this time have their benefits at the end. Because we as teachers must also consider that the students with different learning styles may not benefit equally from the visual stimuli. This is helpful for the visual students, but this can be kind of a problem because also we have some students that learn in different ways. But this is not just about using peripheral learning just in your class. No, it's about having this like an extra in your classes. So you can have different ways to help your students, your visual students, your kinesthetic students, your reading, writing learners. So this is one way that you can apply this to help the students to learn. And another challenge that I could tell you that may arise when using the peripheral is start to touch posters and one falls, it was a mess because they are gonna use it. It's like materials. I know that maybe it's a posters if you have the possibility, or use adhesive materials that are easy to replace. So another solution that I can give you for this problem is to regularly monitor and guide students to this is going to help also your students to be independent and say, okay, the teacher is putting a lot of effort here, so we need to take care of this. And finally, an issue for teachers is asking permission from the school administration to put like all the posters or any things that you want to put on the walls, since I know that many schools are kind of concerned about damaging the paint or altering the classroom appearance. So a possible solution that I could give you to that is to use the removable adhesive strips Or I have heard that there are like kind of magnetic materials that can be placed on the walls without like causing any damage on the painting or something like that. As I told you, there are some schools that are really strict about it, but trust me, you. Okay, and now let's play a little game in order to be active and to see if you actually get how this peripheral learning technique actually works, okay? So let me share with you the code. Here we are gonna play Kahoot, okay? So here is the code. You can use it to start the game. So I'm gonna wait for the players some minutes to see some of you here, and we can start with the game, okay? So a little bit of time for you, but trust me, it's sure, I will send you the link. Okay, I see some of you are already there, so I'm gonna copy the link and I'm gonna pass it to you. Sure, just give me a moment to share the link. Okay, there you have the link. Tell me if you can enter to the Kahoot platform. Okay, I see Edison, Mercedes, Jasmine, Yesenia, Jazz. Oh, she's a little bird. Nice. Okay, I will wait, I think 1, 2 more minutes in order to have more people in the game so I can start, okay? Okay, Nora, we will wait for you, so no worries. Okay, I think that we can start. I don't know. I was waiting especially for Nora. I don't know if she is already there. Let me know. Or we can actually just start with the game. Sure, I will send the link again. Not really, Marta. You don't have to register in Kahoot. You just need to enter the game, put your name, and then we could start. Okay, I see 17 people there, so we can start with the game. So let me put start, and you will see what you need to answer. Okay, the first one, it's, let's see. The peripheral learning technique is, what do you think? Conscious, hyperconscious, mindful, subconscious? I have two answers, three. Let's see. Perfect. It's a subconscious. Remember, you are not aware of what you are learning during the peripheral learning well, you use the peripheral learning technique. Okay, next one. Okay, I could see that Yesenia is first. Congratulations. Question number 2. The peripheral learning technique comes from the CLT method, grammar translation method, Suggestopedia method, or the direct method. What do you remember? Perfect. It comes from the Suggestopedia method. Remember that the Suggestopedia method is based on have this relaxation time, relax your body and your mind to learn. Thank you so much. Let's see who is in the podium. Thank you for the people who is answering here in the chat. Okay, Jasenia is first again. True or false? Peripheral learning technique can be used only for vocabulary. Sully, if you can play it, it doesn't matter. You can answer here in the chat. It doesn't matter. Okay, I see here some false in the chat. Perfect. Remember that we can use peripheral learning for grammar, for vocabulary, wherever you want. And let's go with the next one. Peripheral learning is studying with a textbook only, memorizing long lists of words, a mobile learning app, or learning by using the environment. What do you think? Okay, I see some blue, and most of you said the circle, learning by using the environment. Perfect. Next one, number 5. Where can you use peripheral learning? Only on the board? Only in books? Only on digital screens? Or on the classroom walls and objects? Okay, I see here some on classroom walls. Okay, Miguel, if you can play, please write your answers here in the chat. Green, perfect. You can use peripheral learning on classroom walls and on other objects. Perfect. Number 6. Which one is an example of the peripheral learning technique? Reading a vocabulary list aloud, memorizing words for a test, writing vocabulary on classroom posters, or writing definitions in a notebook. I see some yellow here. Yellow again. Yellow, yellow. I see many yellows. Perfect. Yellow. Writing vocabulary on classroom posters. Good answer. Okay, Yesenia continues in the podium. Let's go with the next question. The last question, actually. Which is not a benefit of peripheral learning? Students see words many times. It helps to learn without pressure. It needs a lot of concentration, or it supports learning in a natural way. Let's see which one is the answer. Oh, so sorry, my mistake here. It was my mistake here. The correct answer is not oh no, yes, I'm so sorry. Yeah, you see, I missed my mind. I lost my mind. But yes, yellow, because it says not a benefit of peripheral learning. So you don't need a lot of concentration in the peripheral learning. As I told you, you just learn by your peripheral vision. So actually, is a benefit for the peripheral learning technique that you see the words many times, like repeatedly. Thank you so much. Let's see who are the winners. Okay, I have Cecilia Romero in the third place. I have Jazz in the second place. Perfect. And I have number one. Let's see who is our winner. Thank you so much, Yesenia. You are our winner. So a round of applause for you. Thank you so much, all of you, for playing. Now I can see that you actually understand the concept of peripheral learning technique. Now let me come back to my slides. Let me put them again. So as our next activity, we have this part. I want you to draw how you want your classroom to look next time, your next classes or your next year. It doesn't matter if it is right now, but your next year or day of classes or in the next classes that you're gonna have. For example, here I have my drawing. I have some words and vocabulary words in my classroom on the walls. I have some useful phrases above the board. I have my students that are happy in the classroom. So please draw, have a little draw about how you would like to classroom to look like the next time. And once that you do that, if you please could send me your drawings in this paddle platform, which I'm gonna share the link with you in the chat, so you can like post your pictures there. If you can do it now, or if you wanted to do it later, so I can see your pictures, I can see how you would like to do next classroom look like. Okay, so let me stop my sharing my screen so I can share with you the link of the Padlet. But now please draw whatever your class look like, okay? And I will share with you the little link. So if you can post your pictures now, it will be great. Or if not, if you can actually do it right now, you can show me on your screens and show me on your cameras, your drawings. If you could do it, excellent. If you can do it, it doesn't matter. So if you enter to the Padlet link, you could see a little space here in which you press that button, and then you're gonna have the part of adding my pictures, búsqueda de imágenes, adding my pictures. So there you can put and add the picture that you draw, the drawing that you have. So you can put your pictures. As I told you, if you can do it now, it doesn't matter. You can do it later, so I can see your pictures in the rest of the afternoon. But if you do it, it will be amazing. And or you can just show me your pictures right now here. Okay, Veronica put a picture of a teacher around their students, and at the back I can see a little poster. Excellent. Thank you so much, Veronica. Okay, here we have the picture that Veronica posted. Here we have some students with posters in the back. So we have fruits and vegetables, and also she's teaching them with another strategy that I really like a lot, that it is Realia. It's amazing to use that strategy in your classes too. So thank you so much, Veronica. Let's see if someone posted another one. Oh, I have Yuri, but I can see your picture. So maybe you are doing it, or maybe you can show me here in the Zoom platform. Okay, I see that some of you are entering the paddle platform, so I will wait for you 2 more minutes to finish your draw or to paste your pictures here. So let's see. Okay, I could see that Mauricio Matavite upload another picture. It looks amazing. It's a classroom with a lot of visual materials, and not just on the board, but also on the walls. We have some, I think it's kind of, okay, it's rainy, a rainbow, a sun. Perfect. It looks nice. I surely said that this classroom is gonna help your students to be engaged in your English classes. Thank you, Mauricio. Okay, I can see the picture of Elizabeth Escalante. Let's see what we have here. Okay, I can see some students sitting on the floor. It looks nice, and also I can see some English material around. Yes, Mauricio, I can give you the word so you can share with you your ideas. Go ahead, Mauricio.
Hey, hello. I decided to share that picture because when I had the chance to study in the US as a scholar, I realized that most of the classrooms were very well decorated. And when I asked one of the teachers the way how he used to teach Spanish and the connection that he had with his students, and also the proficiency of their students in Spanish was very, very high, and they were just A2 if I am not wrong. So, and I asked him, why, how did you achieve that goal? And he said, well, first of all, take into account that you have to provide the best environment for them. And so imagine that in the Spanish class they have including a piñata there. It was amazing. And he said, for me, teaching in my classroom is like entering a big party. And so that is what he said. That is why he said, Mauricio, if one day you want to create the best atmosphere, remember your classroom is and your classes are like your party, and you have to enter and enjoy the party. So the same feeling is going to um or your students are going to have the same feeling if you decorate your classroom and you create the best atmosphere for them. So remember, Mauricio, enter your classroom and enjoy the party. And that is why I decided to share this picture.
Thank you so much, Mauricio, for sharing your experience with us. This is really a good space to share that kind of things in which we need to know, we need to do, as Mauricio says, a party in our classroom, because in that way, students are gonna enjoy our classes. I can see that most of you put some posters in the classes. I can see a beautiful drawing of Maria Leonor. Thank you so much. I will look in detail everything in the whole afternoon that I have here. But let me continue with my slides. Thank you so much for sharing your drawings. They are amazing. Their pictures, all the things that you want to put there is actually amazing. So let me share with you again the slides. Okay, so as a conclusion, I want to summarize everything I said, and I will tell you that peripheral learning is an excellent way to enhance vocabulary acquisition through self-conscious exposure. By integrating levels, as I told you, posters, word walls, and interactive activities during your classes, we can actually create a dynamic learning environment that supports all students. And also, I would like to share with you a little phrase that says, create an environment where learning surrounds students and knowledge will find its way into their minds and their hearts. And even if your students are not gonna realize that they are learning. So thank you so much for this, for being here in this afternoon. I don't know if you have some questions, so I can provide you some answers about the peripheral learning technique. So maybe you can write your questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand here and let me know. So, okay, we have Miguel Angel.
Congratulations on your good
Yes,
presentation, Andrea.
I was
Congratulations.
wondering if we, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Miguel, thank you so much.
Oh, I was just wondering where we could find, Andrea, some kind of research that has been done about this, something that supports it,
Oh, okay.
this
As
theory.
I told you, it's kind of difficult to find research about the peripheral learning technique. I have done my thesis about that, so I can share with you. If you write through my email, I can share with you some investigations that some research that I found about the peripheral learning technique.
All right, thank you. Could you please share your?
Yes, there you have in my email. I will write my email in the chat too, so I can provide this kind of information, this research that you want. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, maybe you have another question. Or maybe you can write your questions in the chat. Thank you so much for your words. It's amazing to see how we are like increasing this whole part of the teachers who are trying to make the most in their classes for our students. We know that it's not an easy work. We are not just working with our minds, but also with our hearts and touching our students there too in their hearts. So if you don't have any kind of question, I think that this is all. I hope really that you enjoyed this afternoon with me. As I told you, if you like to stay in touch or need additional resources, feel free to contact me through an email. Thank you again, and I hope you find ways to incorporate peripheral learning into your classrooms.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It was amazing, your presentation. I know how valuable is what teachers we do in our classrooms, and thanks again for remind us how do we have to behave in our classes, know how our students can be visual learners, can be kinesthetic, or can we have this way of learning, we can help them to improve every day. So thank you so much, and I'm really happy to see how your research was done in the school context, in an Ecuadorian context, because that's something that we want to kind of promote through ECUATESOL is that the value of English Ecuadorian teachers that we are doing for our English Ecuadorian education. So I know how valuable are you as a teachers, all the people that is attending today, and I know how amazing work you do in each of your provinces, in each of your schools, in each of your institutions. And thanks again, Andrea, for reminding us that. And thank you so much, Kari, for being here as well. And thanks everyone for being here. Please do not forget to register your attendance.
Carlos, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that was my question. I think the Google Forms is not working. The Forms office, it's not working, the link. I don't know if it's just me.
Okay, let me.
Actually, it's working. I already registered my attendance. It's working.
Thank you, Mauricio. Yeah, it's working. So please, maybe you can check in another device or maybe from your computer and you can check your attendance. That's really important, no? That you can register your attendance because based on that, you will receive the certificate. So, and again, Andrea is part of ECUATESOL, Katy is part of ECUATESOL. So please, if you want to get her presentation or if you want to be in contact with us, you can always be in contact through ecuatesol@gmail.com or follow us in our social media, no? In Instagram, in our website, or follow us in our WhatsApp group. I hope every one of you is there in the WhatsApp group. If not, please send us an email so we can send information for you to be part of ECUATESOL member. And again, no, share our webinars. Remember and separate the date because on April 19, we have another workshop, another webinar presented by ITEP. So they are going to be talking a little bit about how to train teachers or how can we train for international exams as well, because as part of our professional development is improving our speaking and our English proficiency, no? So please be in touch. Thanks, Andrea, again. Thanks, Katy, for being here. Have a wonderful afternoon. Have a lovely afternoon, all of you. And
Daniel?
Yes?
Could you repeat the date for the next session?
Yeah, the next session is on April 19th, Mauri.
All right. So we will see, okay,
Yeah.
after the Teacher's Day.
So
After
the Teacher's
happy
Day.
Teacher's Day in advance.
Yes,
to everyone.
Happy Teacher's Day to everyone. Thank you, Sepo. Thank you very much. And yeah, we will see us after Teacher's Day. So please enjoy your Teacher's Day. And then we will see us on the 19th. Anyway, please, in the social media, we're going to be posting the date and the time of the next webinar. So thank you very much again. Please do not forget to register your attendance and see you next time. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
It was my pleasure. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.